Yo, 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 yo. Yo, we are back with another episode of the Stay Hydrated podcast. And this is a special one, y'all. This is a special one. Me and my guests, we go way, way, way back. I'm talking about 6 years old. 6 years old, y'all. 22 years. Insane. Insane. This is my brother from another right here that I got on this podcast. My man, I got to introduce him to y'all, Jake Crocker. The man, the myth, the legend. And just like I always do, y'all, I'm going to let him introduce himself to y'all. But man, just know that this is this dude right here. Listen to his accolades. Listen to what he's doing. He's going to tell y'all what's up. This is my man, Jay Crocker. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, man. Let them know who you are, bro. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, hell of an intro. And only somebody
Yes.
who's known me that long can have that good of an intro. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
oh, man. Yeah, my name's Jay Crocker. What's good, everybody? Thanks for having me on the show. It's a pleasure. I'm a big fan, you know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, and I'm a songwriter, producer, artist, all over. Yeah, and I've been making music for a long time. Miles can attest to that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and that's been a part of my life for uh a long ass time. And here we are, man. We're grown ass men. We're old dudes now. We were young bucks in the living room upstairs, but
We were, bro.
yeah, man. But here we are. We're both figuring it out and doing our thing. So, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We're
Yes,
here.
sir.
We're here.
Yeah,
We're
I already
kicking it.
know.
I
I
love it.
appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for taking your time out, man, doing this. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Hey, but let's start let's start back, man. Let's go back because
Let's go back.
obviously we talk about music and everything
Yeah.
like that, but when did your love for music start?
Oh,
When did that begin, bro? When did that begin?
man, you know what, it's like it's tough because like obviously I've always loved music since like an early age, but there's this one moment in my life that like sticks out to me.
Yes, sir.
There's this time, like I loved a whole bunch of different types of music. You remember my iPod was full of all kinds of random shit. It was like, I was listening to like NWA and like Weezer and like, fucking Green Day showed up, and then it was like Miles
Yeah.
Davis and like, John Coltrane, but then like I loved Queen and loved like all this weird pop shit too. So like it was all over the place, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
but I think I love the album Kind of Blue. It's like my favorite album, honestly, of all time, probably. Favorite project by Miles Davis.
Yes,
And
sir.
I remember even like after I loved that project, I was already in love with it and everything. My dad pulled out the record player and pulled it out on vinyl for the first time. Like when I was
Oh,
little,
man.
it was when I was young, and hooked it up, and I like heard my favorite album like through
The way
through
it's supposed to be listened to.
the way it's, but yeah,
Yeah.
literally the only other way besides live, like the closest thing basically. And like I heard the trueness in the sound of that of that way of listening to music, and it was that moment was like, whoa, this shit is crazy, and like I think at that moment I started learning like the impact, and then that gathered, like that continued on through like just my love of like movie scores and stuff. So like all the times we were like watching movies and stuff, like
Yeah.
I always understood from a really young age that like the kind of music that's being played in the moment makes like a huge difference
Huge.
in the feeling that you have, and yeah, so that was like a huge thing that continued to show me more examples of that as we were growing up and stuff. After that moment, though, that moment with the vinyl was a pivotal moment, you know.
That's real, bro. Miles Davis, man. Actually, one of the people I
Yeah.
was named after, which is crazy.
I
I was
yeah.
named after Miles Davis, which is wild, man. That's wild. But
Yeah.
legendary, legendary trumpet player, man. Legendary. And
Absolutely.
and going back to playing instruments, man. I remember rolling with you and your parents to those piano lessons
Oh my
and
God.
all those different music lessons back in the day.
Shout out, you know who. Shout out Jerry.
Yes, sir. Jerry, our music teacher, man,
Oh
true
man.
legend, man. Like really, really got us going into music, started us with the recorder, and
Bro,
we
I
went
was
on from
so
there, man.
terrified. Every Thursday he would God, I had lessons, bro. And I'd be so scared because I didn't practice for shit. I didn't practice
Yeah,
all, bro. Because I just love like improvising and playing whatever felt cool or whatever. And I never practiced. And like Jerry always knew, dude. And like
always,
every time he
always.
would, I'd stand on the front porch and I'm like 7, 8 or whatever. And I'm like, fuck, fuck, shit. I hope he doesn't show up today, bro. And then his car would roll up and I'd be like, damn. But then every time, like I loved him for some reason still. Like I was terrified of him, but he was also the best at the same time. Like Jerry still is, dude. Like I saw him not too long ago, and he's just like the best. I
One of the
couldn't.
goats, man. One of the goats, man. For
Oh
real.
yeah.
Jerry was not scared, no matter what your age
Oh,
was. Jerry would call
to
you
tell
out.
you, yep, to tell
He
you
would call
exactly
you
what's
out.
going. Yep, exactly what you need to change. It could be your first grade. Your I. He's like, you just said no. That's not how we're doing this today. You're not singing that note. You're singing this note. Listen, We're like, what the fuck? You remember that,
Yeah,
dude?
he said, get it
Crazy.
right. You had no choice but to get
Yeah,
it right
dude.
when it came to Jerry, because end of the day, when we went out there and performed, we were
Mhm.
a representation of Jerry, and he made sure
Yep.
that we knew that
Well,
every
you
single
know
time.
what? Absolutely, man. Looking back to that too, it's like we were taught like we we were treated like adults, we were
Yeah,
kids, but we were treated and given, with all of that discipline came like a level of respect of like, hey, you're gonna like, even if I'm speaking at a high level, like you're gonna understand this,
exactly.
and like it just made us like grow up in the best way. I'd say like honestly more just kind of learn more about the real world than any other young kids could have in those situations where all the other teachers are like clap 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 your hands. Jerry's just like one more time. Like, like it's
Yep.
crazy. So
Yeah.
shouts to Jerry for educating us on how to like you know socialize with adults at a young age too, and like understand the ways of the world a little more.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anyway, you had a question. I'm sorry.
Yes, man. Yes, yes, man. Those music lessons we used to roll to, man. Piano lessons, all that stuff. How did that help to craft your love for music? How did that help to build your passion for what you do now?
Yeah, I gotta say, dude, I never fell in love with lessons. That was one thing.
Gotcha.
I just like never could figure it out. And I felt so guilty back in the day because I was like, man, my parents are paying for these lessons, like, but I don't really feel like they're like I don't enjoy them that much, but I also respect them in a different way. But I hated like rehearsing and practicing and stuff like that for some reason. And
Yeah.
I just learned like at a certain point, once I learned what music production was, my mind totally like shifted and I was like, oh, I can be more than just the, piano player or the saxophone player, like, and I can be it all. And after that, like I kind of understood where it could apply because before I just didn't never really understood where my piano lessons could apply or where my saxophone lessons could apply. And I think that was part of the reason I couldn't fall in love with it is because I was like, where like this isn't filling that gap that I have for music for some reason. And then learning what production was really kind of opened that up for me. But I think really I'm grateful for all of those lessons for teaching me like the gritty side of music, which is like,
Yeah.
regardless of if I loved it or not, like those lessons taught me how to persevere and like attack things that I'm might not be the most fond of, but just doing them because for some reason I know it's right, like and there's so much stuff that comes with music and just like I mean just everything in life and not even just music where you just have to like buckle down and do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the biggest thing that those lessons really like instilled in me was buckle up, dude.
Yeah. You got to get it done
You
no matter
know?
what. Yeah. You
Yeah.
got to get it done
So
no matter what.
it
That's
applies.
real.
It applies for sure. Yeah.
That's real. And you talked about music production.
Yeah.
When did that like when did you realize that that was something that not only you had the capability of doing, but that you had a love for? When did you realize that?
Yeah. Oh man, that was like there is one actual pivotal moment of that I can think of too that pops into my mind. It's honestly, and because I learned I kind of knew what music production was because I knew my cousin kind of like made beats or something, and like I didn't really know what the hell that meant. And like I kind of I started kind of like geeking out on YouTube a little bit and like figuring out what that world was like a little bit. But then I remember this one specific time I went over to my cousin Dylan's house, and I was like.
Dylan. Shout out Dylan.
A huge shout out Dylan for basically starting my career. But yeah, I mean, you and I used to roll around with Dylan, bro. We used to do
Everywhere.
some reckless shit. I don't even
Thank
know
you. Thank you, Dylan, for those moments,
for
man. You know what I'm
exposing it to
saying?
all.
Thank you.
Yeah, holy shit. We were like what 12? Oh my god, we were all over it, bro. That was wild. That
Yes,
was
sir.
so.
Yes,
Anyway,
sir.
no, I was over at his place one day, and he used to make beats on this program called Reason, who that's still around. Right now
Okay.
a lot of people use Reason, and it's just one of the many DAWs. But anyway, he we he I don't even remember the specifics, but we started making like a beat, like sat down for the first time and was like, whoa, we can like craft something from nothing. And then we like laid down these like drums with this like vocal sample, um I still have it today. It was just pretty funny, I still have,
Wow.
yeah. But yeah. And then I sat down and this like sub bass, he put it on the keyboard, and I just sat down, and it was just these drums and this vocal, and I played this bass line on top of it that just like entirely changed the emotion. And I was like, whoa, that was wild. Like, and ever since then, I've just like loved that part of music too, of like when something just comes out of nowhere and like totally makes your head just kind of turn in a song. And, but that moment sticks out to me as just like, holy shit, that was the moment I fell in love with making anything, with creating art from nothing. And ever since then it's kind of just been go go go.
Wow. That's crazy how it can just be that a moment that, you know what I'm saying, that small,
Yeah,
that particular, and one sound that you create that could,
yeah.
turn into
Oh,
such a love and
absolutely.
passion to just continue to
Absolutely,
build.
man. No, totally. But I think everybody also has like this level that's growing in them before they even really
Mhm.
know it, and like there's this like when I was young, hearing that vinyl for the first time, I didn't know I wanted to be a music producer or like write songs and stuff. I didn't know that. But
Yeah.
I knew that I loved what I was hearing for some reason, and like it just made me feel things. And then I just had a whole bunch of things in my head show up, and just all these kind of like every time there was something, I'd be like, oh, if it did this, or like this could happen. And then just like figuring out how to do that was kind of my goal, was just like sit down and like try and take these sounds that are in my head out and put them into this computer. And that was like a whole different language to learn, basically, which, oh my gosh, at a certain point when I was younger, I was like, I don't know if I'll ever learn this, dude. This is insane. And then, I look back and I try and remember that all the times. There was a moment when I sat there and I was like, I'm never gonna learn all of this stuff. It's crazy. What is this? You
Yeah, it
know,
can be overwhelming. Yeah.
so overwhelming. And I sit back now and I'm like, man, like why don't ever doubt, you can't ever doubt yourself in
No.
like anything. And like it's just it continues to level up. And like the next thing that's huge that pops into our lives feels like it's something massive that we've never done. And I try to remember that moment in those moments, just, hey, dude, you did that at a certain point. You
Yeah.
just kept doing that over and over and over. So just keep doing it, just keep
Yeah.
leveling up. But I know there's so many lessons and stuff within the cracks and crevices of this whole experience, man. So it's a trip. Yeah.
Wow, man. And bruh, when you because obviously, you're a lot of people don't know you had your first studio upstairs. And
Yeah.
as you began to build that studio, you know, how did you know kind of what you needed and what you had to bring together to kind of create what you wanted to create? And then as you started to create different sounds and develop, different aspects of who you wanted to be as a producer, like how did you know which direction you wanted to go?
Oh man, that's a great question. I to start it off with just like kind of the early inspiration of what did I need? I was lucky to have like my cousin who kind of I knew like a keyboard was involved and a computer was involved
Yeah,
and all that. And there's a few other people that came into play that really helped just jumpstart kind of my base knowledge of what music production is, and specifically Ableton.
yeah.
And Andrew Luck there's this dude I found on Craigslist that was doing Ableton lessons, and I asked my dad, I said, hey, could I meet with this dude and do some lessons? And he said, hey, you met him on Craigslist? What do you like, what? And I'm, yeah, I'm like 13 or something. And yeah, so I ended up doing that, and he's still a cool homie today, which is awesome. But I
Wow.
ended up taking some early on like kind of lessons from him, where we just sat down and made beats, kind of, and I just learned the terminology and I got to see somebody work, and for the first time, really. And that was huge, to just watch somebody's process, whatever that is. And also at the same time, like YouTube was kind of just really picking up, and it was like the music side of it. There was videos of people producing songs, like Timbaland producing a song or something,
Yeah, yeah.
and there was always a computer and a keyboard and maybe a drum pad or something. And those were the basics. That's like what I needed. And I knew I needed a mic and a thing called an interface that somehow brought it all together. And from there, dude, it just I mean, first I just had my computer. I needed the software was the first thing. Shout out my dad for, figuring out illicit ways to get me a copy
Yes,
of
sir.
software. But you
Papa
know,
Tim.
yeah, that turned me into, a loyal user for life. And since obviously when I was younger, I since then have gotten my own version of the software, of course. But yeah, dude, when I was a kid, it was just like, hey, you want to try this and see if you like this, like, before we end up spending a whole bunch of money on it and whatever. And I just couldn't stop doing it. I just was glued to it. And it
Yeah.
was so frustrating at so many points, like so frustrating, because some of it was just so like, why can't I get that to do this? Or why can't I get it to sound like this, or this to move like whatever kind of thing it was. An obstacle with regards to production. Like I just kept moving and chugging along and like learning and learning and learning and learning and learning. And it was like one of those things in life that I just needed to know everything about as much
Definitely.
as much as I could. And as so I just soaked up as much as possible and watched as many videos that I could get my hands on and just try to emulate, but then also express in my own way what I wanted to say musically, which just early on was anything that popped into my head, which was really fun, and just an explorative period. But yeah, man. Yeah. So
Wow, that's dope, man. That's dope. Is there anything that you can say to people that are coming up, like as producers and trying to make it in this realm as producers, artists, songwriters, you know, like any advice you can give them when they are getting started,
yeah,
as they're beginning their process?
I think the kind of the theme of this whole conversation so far has been like perseverance and being able to push through the hard shit. So that would be my biggest piece of advice is like, the hard shit never stops. Like it comes in waves, and you got to just be able to push through that, whatever way that is, whether that's like, you know regarding your creativity and your inspiration, or your business around it, your career, or maybe just life, whatever it is. Like it all comes in waves, and that's a part of this process. Like although, yeah, this is my like quote unquote job or whatever. I've never had like a job. Like this has been my everything forever. So this it encompasses like your life as well. It's part, like that's what I guess I could say it like this. Like I use all of the experiences that happen in my life as inspiration and just general, just fuel for what comes out creatively. And I feel like as a creative, you just have to a certain degree. So like there's a lot of personal in that. And yeah, man. So it's, I don't know, I could get really deep with it or whatever, but
Hey man, you know what I'm saying? That's what the people want to hear. That's what the
yeah,
people want
man.
to hear. And as you continue to do that and persevere and push through,
Yeah.
in the beginning you began to build a lot of connections. And obviously you had a lot of lessons learned and
Yeah, man.
and a lot of things that happened. How did you build those connections and what type of lessons did you learn and what did you learn from those lessons?
Yeah, dude. I just tried to meet as many people as I could,
Yeah.
and I was just this young kid at the time, like 14, 15, like just kind of getting like my feet really wet with the whole working with people thing.
Yeah.
And I just hit everybody up that I was a fan of, and I was a huge fan of artists in Seattle at the time, like the hip hop
Hmm.
super popping, and that was just like so inspiring for young me. And I was just a huge fan of a bunch of local artists, and they all just inspired the fuck out of me. So I just hit them all up and was like, "Yo, shout out for, for inspiring the younger generation, man. Like I'm make music too, and like you guys are just really dope, and have always inspired me or whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah." And that was just young me just trying to kind of get out there and like talk to people and whatever. And then that led to some relationships that really started my career, and I started working with some people that I was just fans of back then. And then
Yeah.
ended up just working out, and then I ended up producing a whole bunch of stuff for them, a huge pieces of their catalogs, and we've done like a whole bunch of work together and all that stuff when I was younger, and so many people I met through that whole process that I still work with, to this day and stuff. So
Yeah.
it really all um man, it all just kind of happens,
Yeah.
but it doesn't happen if you don't put yourself out there. So that was a big thing for me. And then I always kept enough money in my pocket to buy somebody a cup of coffee, and that
Yes,
was
sir.
that was a big lesson that I don't really know where I specifically oh my god, Andre's at the at the door. Shout, hey everybody, Andre just showed up.
Yes, sir. Andre in the house. Andre in the house. Yes, sir. Was good with it. Was good with it.
Just vibing, man.
Yes, sir.
Where were we, dude? We were deep in some.
Yeah. So I was saying, like when you first started and you was working with these artists, man, and all that, like what were some of the biggest lessons that you learned? You know what I'm saying? Whether it's, positive or negative lessons,
Man, I think at an early age, I had the opportunity. I had so much time in the studio, from a really young age. From the time I was like 15, I was in the studio a lot, and like actual studios with people who knew what the fuck they were talking about. And through that, I just learned. Oh my god, dude, I learned so much.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing that I grabbed early on was the ability to collaborate,
Yeah.
and the ability to collaborate in any environment. And like I was working with people who, like, sometimes ideas I didn't really understand or like, or whatever it was in that moment, and my taste just wasn't gravitating towards it. And I just had to learn. I through that process learned, like, the ways to navigate that properly. And I think that just translates so much into where I am now, where I'm just working with new people all the time. So it's like you sit down with people and you never know what you're gonna do. Like through all of COVID, I was doing this. I was like hopping on Zoom with somebody I've never met before, and basically we were interviewing each other for like an hour, maybe, if we like sat down and talked or whatever, and we kicked it. And we're kind of like just getting to know each other. And sometimes it was like really natural and awesome, and like the person was so cool, and like it started real relationships. And sometimes it was like, oh, I don't know if we're gonna work again. But like that's just that's just natural, and that happens in the real world too. Like now
Yeah.
that we're all back and doing sessions and stuff, it's like it happens where you like sit down with somebody and maybe you don't connect super well, but you learn how to create, to just keep creating,
Yeah.
and not judging what you make too. That was a huge part of the process too, of what I just learned through working with a whole bunch of different people, is just go through the process. Just trust the process. Whatever you're creating, it needs to be made. I heard something the other day that I thought was so cool. John Mayer said it actually in some interview.
John Mayer,
Yeah,
legend.
dude, shout out. He was just like, oh yeah, I finish stuff even if I don't like what I'm making. So he was like, what if it's just my taste? Like where I'm at right now, I'm not ready to understand what I'm making. I'm not ready to like it right now, but I need to finish it. If I don't finish that, then like I don't give myself the chance to maybe love this at some point when my taste evolves. And it was just like, whoa,
That's real.
that's real, bro. Like, yeah,
That's real.
just create, throw it against the wall. And I learned that through working with so many people. I would attest a huge part of that to my early days in the Seattle scene, of just working with a bunch of people and understanding how to put minds together and compromise,
Yeah.
in a creative environment, which just takes you a long way in just being able to be a cool person to have in the room, you know, uh,
Yeah.
which is really what this whole thing's about. When you get up to these like bigger levels, is just like being somebody that somebody wants to be around, you know,
That's real.
and
Yeah.
and somebody that somebody's comfortable enough with to, be creatively vulnerable and all that stuff. So that was where those lessons started, I'd say.
Yeah. That's bro. That's the truth right there, man. Like, especially the vulnerability aspect. That's especially songwriting, because it's really gotta come from the heart when
Yeah,
it's some
man.
songwriting. So the vulnerability part is crazy.
Yeah.
And fast forwarding a little bit, man, you know what I'm saying? Let's push it forward. So obviously, you're at a point now, signed to Sony, working with a whole bunch of different artists, man. What was that process like when you knew you were close to that point where it was like, man, like I have the possibility of getting signed to one of the biggest labels in the world. In the
Yeah,
world.
and
What was that like? And you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, just how was that process?
yeah, I think number one, I'd say it's like that. It was terrifying, to be honest, in the beginning, because like I've never been, I I I had this big thought about Sony. I was like, oh gosh, like I've never been a corporate guy. I've never worked a corporate job. I don't get that environment, and that's definitely in my mind. I was like, oh, that's a corporate environment, and like I got the chance to meet some really cool people that showed me that Sony Publishing, it's not just a although it is obviously a corporation, like there's
Mhm.
people involved in it that do give a shit, which
Okay.
goes a long way, in that whole process of just like choosing who you want to work with and stuff. It's like the people and the quality of people that you have uh uh on your team, and it's just I think that's something that we can all say we kind of try and do in our lives too. But it's the same way.
Yeah.
Like whatever team I'm creating, I want to have like good, genuine people who care about me and what I'm doing, especially in that environment. So that was a huge part of it. But yeah, I mean that moment was I think on top of it, there's like two sides. There's the one side that's like, damn, I've been doing this for so long. It's like finally, yes, this feels so good. But then there's the other side that's like, kind of imposter syndrome of like, man, like how am I gonna what the fuck does this mean? Like there's so much like being so young and not really knowing exactly what that means. But super thankful to have a team around me that really we just work together, to
Yeah.
find the best situation. And I rely a lot on like the people around me for those decisions. And everybody I work with is, I consider family. So it's easy to take it,
Yeah.
from and whatnot. So yeah, that moment was scary, but it was also so exciting because I mean, this is just part of this whole thing, but also in that moment, you never know what can happen. You
Yeah.
never know what might happen tomorrow. And that's like an everyday thing in this career. But it's also like that's the inspired side of me talking, like the other side of it is it's really hard at times. Like you gotta push through and you gotta like push through hard, like we were talking about earlier, hard creative times, hard personal times, and it all affects what you're creating in whatever environment you're creating in. Your personal life affects that, so that comes into play. So that's just part of it all. But that moment of getting to that place of signing the deal was just, it felt like amazing, but it also felt, hey, this is part of the plan. Like, this is part of it all. So we're gonna keep keep it pushing and keep doing whatever I'm doing and keep learning along the way and meeting more cool people. And that's really what this whole thing's about. Is what I'm learning is just like meeting meeting good people who have your best interests and you have theirs. And
Hmm.
you're not gonna go wrong if that's the case. So yeah.
Oh yeah, man. And that's a good transition right there. Speaking of personal life, obviously over the last few years, your life has changed a lot. So
A little bit.
you recently became a married man,
Yeah,
which is
that's right.
incredible, saying congratulations on that. And like talk about that a little bit, man. Like
Oh, man.
what is married life like, and how did your life change when you made that decision?
Yeah.
And also, another aspect of that question is, you know, how do you keep the marriage going? Like, how do you keep everything positive? Keep everything pushing. Obviously, everybody has bad days, like we talked about, but with your type of job and what you do, you're very busy. So, how do you keep everything going?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that's a great question, honestly. And I think everybody kind of has a different answer to it because everybody's experience is just different. But for us, we met so long ago, 9 years now, something like that. And
Wow.
uh, yeah, so it really, I mean, she has been, it's not like I was doing this and she just like hopped in. It was like she was there in those kind of early years when I was figuring stuff out, when nothing was really concrete. And I was like playing shows and like I went on tour and like, so it was, I was figuring stuff out, but I was, by no means did I have my feet planted in anything that was mine, and yeah, so we got to establish from a really early point, like what do I do, what I do for a living, and how do we communicate through that and all that stuff, and we just
Yeah,
we just never shied away from any of those conversations, and I think that was a huge part of it, was just communicating through everything that this is, and how it is such a big part of my life. And it's not just like I clock out and I clock out, and I don't have to care about anything. It's like I never really, there's a lot of luxuries that come with making your own schedule and all that stuff, but there's also a lot that comes with never really being able to put down your whether you call it work or your projects or whatever it is. It's like your
yeah.
mind is just always going, and that too, and that's the same
Hmm.
way. But like, um but yeah, that, so from an early point, her and I were able to really communicate with each other about how to communicate, I guess, how to effectively um continue being ourselves and continue chasing our dreams while at the same time supporting each other, and all that. And just, it comes with talking, man. And I've seen that fail so many people, is just not talking
Yeah,
about those things that you might not want to talk about, or those things that don't feel good or whatever. It's like it's all so important in the grand scheme of things to like really learn who somebody is and how somebody ticks, and learn them well enough to be able to, want to spend the rest of your life with them. And that's just a part of the deal, is surrendering like every bit of yourself, I think, and obviously like there's like whatever, you always have your relationships with other people, and have you can have all kinds of conversations with people, but it's like so important to strip every bit of like yourself away when it comes to like that relationship with somebody that you want to spend, your life with. You got to be as vulnerable can be, and that's just my thought of it all, is just, showing every bit of yourself, and hoping that that person is doing the same,
yeah.
and with that, like there's nothing left on the table, which is I think a really humbling and you know connection building experience um altogether. So yeah.
Got you, and
Yeah.
and on top of getting married, which is a big change. You
Yeah.
recently became a father.
I know, bro. I don't know what the hell I was thinking doing all this stuff at the same time. I'm like, dude.
Which is something I called, but
No.
hey, what I'm saying? I said it was coming, but
I
but
know
but
you
but
did.
but
I
but,
know you did.
but
No,
you became
man.
a father, man, and
Yeah,
talk about that, man. What's that like?
man. I'm still figuring it out. I'm 5 months in to this journey, and man, is it a journey, dude? Like, okay, how I was just talking about, oh dude, this is great. How I was just talking about having to strip every bit of yourself for like for your relationship, to like show every bit of yourself. The thing I've learned about having a kid is that it brings everything in your life to the surface, all the good and all the bad. And it's like, deal with your shit and nothing else. It's like, deal with your shit. Here's all the good shit. Here's all the bad shit that you've ever, like, everything. And it just
Yeah,
brings it up, and it's like, this is life. And you learn so much. And that might sound like, what the hell are you talking about? But like, honestly, it's just crazy how just like everything gets brought in front of you, and your perspective on life just entirely changes. And at the same time, all the while you're like looking at this, like in the beginning, this thing you created with a person that, and luckily in my case I loved, and like and I look at all of that and I'm like, just life and all, and none of it makes sense, but all of it is so perfect at the same time. So like it's this insane dichotomy of feelings and emotions and like everything all balled up into one. So it's crazy, man. And like I can't I express it like this too. Like I read all those books and stuff. I read all the dad books and like things you need to know and all that stuff. And like,
Hmm.
yeah, all that info is like top notch, great stuff to know. Because I like info, but like nothing could ever prepare me. Nothing could ever explain to me what this is. Like
Yeah.
you could never in like with words on a page explain like these what this feels like. It's incredible and terrifying and exciting and extraordinary and holy shit and everything all in
Is
one, dude.
did your motivation change? Like did your drive change, your intensity? Like
I
did
think,
that stuff
yeah,
change?
I think a lot of people are like, man, like I woke up and everything was different. And like my whole, and for me, like it's been a something that's built, um, like every day, honestly. It's wild. You just kind of feel, and because it wasn't this like instant connection that I made. It was like something that like really grew over time. And like the pregnancy, it was a long pregnancy, and it was a really a fairly traumatic birth and whatnot. And I connected so much with Macy through it all that it my relationship with Wow, it grew, and it has continued to grow literally every day. And like that strength and that bond like continues to grow as I continue to like see all the little quirks and the new things that happen, that I'm like, whoa, I do that. Or like, whoa, mate, like Macy does that, or I see like a side of an angle of his face, and I'm like, whoa, like that stuff happens, and every time that happens, it just like grows stronger and stronger. So that's just my experience. Some people might say it's like this like instant crazy thing, and that might be what it is for them, but for me, it's just been this like continual, you know, compound interest of love.
That's beautiful though, man. That's beautiful. And obviously, I've had the ability, you know, to see you as a father, man, and you were a great father. Macy, a great mother, you know what I'm saying? And you guys have the support of your family, which is amazing, your dad, your mom, great grandparents. So it's just it's a beautiful thing to see, man. And it's a great component. And like they say, it takes a village, It's
That's a
it's not
fact.
possible. It's not possible to do it on your own.
No,
So I
that's
mean,
huge. That's like such a big part of it. And like, just everybody's a big part of it. Like making I mean that's how I grew up. I grew up around so many people and like a melting pot of people of just all kinds of different backgrounds. And, you know, not only with my career, obviously being around so many different people of different walks of life from all over the world, but just our crew, like our people,
yeah.
that are over here for dinner. Like it's a wild crew. Like when it really all gets together, and like that like what a place to grow up, man. Like it's I don't know, it's special, bro. So just always keeping a melting pot of people around, I think is going to be a huge part of him growing up and all that. It's just I don't know, teaches a lot. How do we even get on that? What were we talking
No, I was just talking about, the just having a child and all that stuff.
Oh
And
yeah, man, it's a
yeah,
it's a trip, dude. But I would do it every time. So you know what I mean. I don't know. It's you learn what your priorities are real quick.
yeah,
So
and going back to us being a child, man, because I love talking about sports and the sports aspect. Growing up, You did baseball, you're big in baseball, football, soccer. How important do you think sports is to developing as a person?
Oh,
Like, developing to who you become. Like, how important is sports, do you believe?
yeah. I had a conversation kind of like this with a friend of mine, a friend of ours actually, a long time ago. Uh where I was talking about what high school football did for me. And he was like, I never played it. Like, I don't get it. Like, whatever. I don't think you need to go smash your head again. And I was like, I get it, dude. Like, trust me. I get like how it's wild, like the game is wild, all that stuff. And it's like, you can get hurt and all that. But there was something about what football taught me that I just don't think you can learn anywhere else. I think there's different levels of what like brotherhood or whatever means, but on that field, especially, we went to the same high school. We went to O'Day, and it
Yes,
was
sir.
it was, it was built around brotherhood. It was a all boys school, and that was like a huge theme. It was like stick together, that type of thing. And maybe that was just our high school experience or whatever that we were lucky to have, but through the lessons that we learned in football, shit, man, that's carried me so far in life, of just another lesson of persevering and pushing through shit you don't want to do. Bro, like, how many times we go on that bus and just like hope that it broke down, and hope that the brakes, we can't go to practice. Nope, it's too cold out. Let's cancel practice today. Whatever it is. Bro, it never happened. we always showed up to the field, regardless of how fucking cold it was, rainy, snowy, whatever it was. We were there, and we did that, and we did it every day, and there was this point junior year where I was like, I was in tears. It was me and Red in the locker room. There was nobody else left, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to play next year, dude. I was just like, I was so just, I don't know what it was. It was some type of pressure, some type of feeling of just like, God, this is so much, And he was just like, you've come this far, you've done this, and you're gonna want to be there. And and I did, of course I did. And I never really was gonna quit. I was just that feeling of like, what the hell? Like, this is so hard, And then yeah, just ended up after senior year, we lost all the way, hundreds of miles away from, well, not hundreds, but we were in Spokane. We lost, and it was a tough loss, and we all had this really emotional experience in the locker room. And after that, I at our final football thing, I ended up winning most inspirational. And I think that was, just a huge part of it, was that whole end of the season moment and everything. But none of that would have happened if I didn't play, if I didn't push through that moment of like, this fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it blows. And and get to what it really meant. And like, if that's not a lesson that you think applies to anybody chasing any dream, like, then you're insane, because everybody faces those types of moments when they're chasing something. Like, they're endless, that. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, I think there was a huge impact that like at least my personal experience with sports, like, and specifically like with football, but baseball taught me a whole bunch of different types of life lessons, and like, and but I also just loved it at the same time, which made it easy, which is kind of like the same thing with music. It's like, well, I love making music, so yeah, I'm not really tripping, and
Yeah.
I always loved playing whatever I was playing. Like, as much as I hated getting out there once my hands got warm and I was ready to roll, like, yeah, I like being there, but but that perseverance side of it is just real, and but but yeah, dude, I mean, my experience totally translated to like adulthood and where I'm at now in life. I mean, absolutely. But, do I think people can find their own experiences outside of sports? Like, yeah, absolutely. Like we grew up with a whole bunch of people who didn't necessarily play sports, but found like their version of community or like connection or development or whatever that they wanted through all kinds of different stuff. But I think there's something that we learn through just like being in the dirt every day with each other that like it just that just ingrained something in me, man. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's for
that's
sure.
real. That's real, man.
Bro,
And
you should have come to O'Day, bro. Like you should have came back, bro. Could you imagine if you came to high school with us?
bro,
You
that
know,
would have been
that would have been
insane, bro.
that
That
would
would
have
have
been
been
so
insane.
great, bro. Oh
That would have
my
been insane,
god.
bro.
That would have
Yeah.
been
But
that would have been I can't even like imagine, bro. Oh my god.
but y'all know if I would have stayed out there, they would have forced me to go to Garfield, man.
No,
I would
bro,
have because
you
my
would have
mom would have
gone
been
for
like, my mom
freshman
would
year.
have been like, you want me to pay all this money when you could
You would
just
have
walk to
gone for
school?
freshman year. You would have gone for freshman year, and then we would have been like, bro, we did it. Our three teams won state championship, and no, like, bro, come on, man. You would have been over.
My mom would have
You
been
would have
like,
got the scholarship.
Miles, you can walk to school. Why would I?
I would have
Why
picked.
am
We would have picked you up. I would have
I?
picked you up. It would have been. You would have. No worries. I'd have got that covered. Yep, my dad and I are picking Miles up every day.
Nah, that would have been lit, bro. I would have,
That would have been
man.
wild.
I would have loved to have gone to high school with y'all, and I mean even middle school, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I would have
I
loved to have been out here
know.
with y'all for all that stuff, man. So
But man, it all happens for a reason, and you got to go have a totally different experience, which is like hell. It's like another cool side of our friendship. It's just like
yeah,
you having a totally different experience all the way on the other side of the country,
yeah,
and you bring something different to the table because of that, and that's dope.
yeah. It was
Yeah,
completely different vibe from what it was on
very
the
cool.
West Coast, man. It was, yeah, completely different. It's kind of like hard to explain like how different the experiences were, but
Yeah,
yeah, man,
it's like
it's a
fatherhood, man. It's hard to
yeah,
explain, dude.
yeah,
It's really
yeah,
the
bro.
closest thing.
So hard to explain, man.
Yeah.
But when it comes to sports and fatherhood, are you gonna push Wild to want to play sports or what's kind of your mindset with that?
Yeah,
Because
no,
obviously, as a father, you want your
course.
son to kind of follow your footsteps and like athletics and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Like that would just be cool to see.
No,
So
for sure,
what's kind
man.
of be
And
your mindset with that?
I've seen I've seen some of the positive things that can come of that, and I've seen a lot of the negative things that can come of it as well. And I don't think, you know, there's anything you should force your kid to do besides be a good human being. Really. And, for me, with regards to like the sports thing, it's all about interest for me. It's like like there's no doubt in my mind that I'm gonna put I'm gonna put a glove in his hand. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, here's like a little kid's catching glove, just in case." You like it.
Hmm.
But like my whole thing is just showing him all the options in life, and that means all the options. That means you want to be you want to be the quarterback on the football team. Great. You want to be like the lead singer in a choir, like dope, dude. Like, what do you want to do? That's
Yeah.
all. None of that's like up to me. It's my job as a father is just to expose him to as much as I can and show him like all the different options in life. I think, once again, I'm just figuring this whole thing out, but that's how I would have I mean, that's how I was treated, really. And I think that's a huge part of how I'm, fathering my own kid is just how I was raised there was two things. There's two sides of that. It was like I was raised as, yo, it doesn't matter what you want to do as long as, it makes you happy. That was
Yeah.
always it. My dad always said that. He was always like, I don't care if you want to be a professional butterfly catcher as long as it makes you happy.
Yeah.
Literally, I remember him telling me that. And I was like, all right, bet. Like I can do whatever. Sick.
I like
And
butterflies.
yeah,
Yeah.
like butterflies are tight. But there was that side of it, but then there was the other side of like, yo, if you start something, you don't quit it. So
Yeah.
so I think those two hand in hand gave me like a really good kind of meet in the middle type of experience growing up, where it wasn't like, yo, you're gonna do this regardless of if you want to or not. Which we obviously knew people that had that experience and
Yeah.
and everything. But for me, it was just like, yo, you want to play baseball? Yeah, play baseball. And if you want to keep playing, like if you like baseball, then you can keep playing baseball. And that's kind of how the music thing came about. It was like, oh man, I want to play piano. And like there was a piano in the house, so like that just developed, and dad got me an electric piano one year, and it was just this big thing. I was like, oh, whoa, cool. Like I can learn piano. you know
Yeah.
I took lessons and did all that stuff, but it wasn't like you're gonna play the piano 10 hours a day and da da da. And I know obviously there's like the benefit to that, like your kid turns into playing Carnegie Hall and all that stuff, but um you know for me, I think I was allowed to fall in love with it. And I don't think that, obviously, that doesn't just happen for everybody, but the fact that I was able to choose really gave me the power to decide what it was that I love to do. And all the while I still had every experience that I wanted to with regards to my sports and activities and all that stuff. I played soccer, I played football, I played baseball, I attempted basketball, and I did I did all that, and got to explore it and got to explore the things that I loved more and more. And, through high school, obviously, like, love football and I love baseball and all that. But for me, at least, I was like, oh, I know I'm not gonna do this forever, like, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I just fell into what I love the most outside of what I was experiencing at that time, which was, school and kicking it and football and whatever it was. And I just fell into the music, and I fell into it like really hard. Then I got a big subwoofer, and then I wanted to make stuff with a bunch of bass so I could play it in my car,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes, sir. The subwoofers, man. That was crazy, crazy times when you first got those, bro.
I can't even like listen to that system anymore. Like it's so loud. Even when I turn the sub down like 15 decibels, it's annoyingly loud.
Yeah, the
I
subwoofers are
remember we like
insane.
turned that up back
When you
in.
first got them, yeah,
Yeah, when I
we
first
used to
got it, it
bump
was
that.
like we put like ping pong balls on it and started playing like 3-6 Mafia and stuff. Oh my god, dude. Yeah, bro. There's one other kid in high school who had crazy subwoofers in his truck. And he like, I mean, we would blast out the parking lot, dude. Yeah. I mean, he got to kind of an unhealthy level of like, dude, I think you're ruining your hearing for oh my god,
Forever. Yeah.
permanently, like never coming back. And yeah, and I backed off the sub wars after that.
Yeah.
Let him take the crown. So
Jeez, man.
yeah,
And going back to the music, man, because we got to talk about this,
yeah.
obviously we got to talk about this before we finish up, man. But what was going on tour like, man? What was the tour life like, man? I know people want to hear stories. They want to hear about that, man. What was it like?
How much time you got,
We
man?
got time, man. We got time. Go ahead.
I've been on tour a few times, man. I've had the chance to do it a few times, and oh man, it just everything happens, bro. Like, everybody, and like you're bunking up with people, like you're like cozying up with people that whether you know them or you don't really know them, like whatever. This is who you're living with for like a month or two or whatever it is. So it's just a trip, and it becomes your home, So whether I've been everywhere from a big, beautiful tour bus with like 12 beds and a king size bed in the back and a living room space with a tiny kitchenette to like a shit little RV, where we're all just like sleeping at angles to try and fit the long, like, like to just all fit. And it was just a trip, man. So oh, dude, dude, there's so many stories. I went the first tour I went on. I was like, I was young, and I was like, dude, so green. Like I think I was 17 or 18 or something, and it was just nationwide. It was like 2 months, 2-month tour, and it was just
Jeez.
everywhere. And it was I learned so much because I was on this tour with a whole bunch of grown ass men who either had been on tours or like touring for a long time or whatever and understood what this was. And I was just green, super excited. And like, I had my head down. I was just grinding, I was, totally sober. I wasn't even like smoking weed or anything. It was just like, I was there and I was learning, and it was every day. And I was just trying to soak up as much as I could, dude. And oh man, I learned so much, man, dude. Oh my God. See, I learned that some fans are crazy, bro. Like, oh my goodness. The venue, I don't know if I'm legally could say the things that I know went down at the Detroit show. It was insane, bro. First off, the guy was like, yo, the stage tonight, because I was touring with an artist who like really like jumping into the crowd, and he was like, yo, the stage tonight, it's like 14 feet off the ground. And we were like, what? And he was like, yeah, so don't jump in the crowd or something. And I was like, nah, no problem. He was like, it's that high because they don't want you to get stabbed on stage. And I was like,
What?
where the fuck are we playing tonight? And yeah, oh my God. And then I'm pretty sure like going into that city too, one of the artists that we were touring with was telling us some story about how one of their buses got like sprayed uh like in Detroit or something. And I was like, what are we doing here? Like, why? But honestly, man, the venue was like so insanely cool. It was this really old, it was like cool and also terrifying at the same time because it like there was it was massive, like huge, but like they let people smoke cigarettes inside,
What?
which is like different for our
Yeah.
generation, you know what I mean? And it was a trip, bro. So this place was it was wide, and there was like scaffolding to get up to like the green room or something. I was like, dude, what is this? This place is crazy. So that was Detroit, and there was like illicit stuff happening in the bathroom. Like I walked over to the merch table and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And I was like, oh my God, like what is happening in these stalls? And yeah, so there was just, lots of love being made in the stalls in the Detroit bathrooms. And I was just,
Man.
18-year-old kid, man, excited to be on the road and soaking up game and and oh, I remember this one time these they were they were older women. They were fans of the one of the artists that was on tour, and they came on the bus to give him a gift. And they gave him a gift, and they oh my God, they left, and he opened it up, and it was like, dude, it was insane. It was like this box of like every drug you could imagine.
Oh
I
my
was like,
gosh.
what? It was like, bro, but like, no,
What?
oh, these are like the light drug. It was like hardcore shit. And I was, oh, oh. I was, what? I was like, what are you gonna do with that, dude? What the fuck? It's like, this is insane, dude. So yeah,
Damn.
I was in Denver or something, and they gave him like cookies too. So it was so sweet.
Yeah.
Like here's some cookies and some crack and some like some meth and like I kid you fucking not. I kid you not, bro. I kid you not. I'm not lying.
What?
Who's in there?
That is insane.
I was like, what is
Cookies and
it was
meth. What a
all it
combination.
was like yeah, cookies and meth, dude. Sounds like a really weird mixtape. Yeah, huh? No, it was in like Denver or something. It was a trip, bro. Yeah, they had all kinds of shit, some like blow in there. It's just like a whole like encyclopedia of drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a trip to see, but also just kind of learn like how wild some like fans can be, and also how amazing some fans can be, because that was the other side of tours. Just you get to meet so many people. Obviously I went straight to like some of the crazy stories, but like there's some amazing stories of just being able to get to know people that I would have never gotten the chance to meet, and all the while doing it in a different city is really cool, and really um I'm really grateful to be able to do that, and be able to experience all these different places and stuff. And I hope I just get to keep exploring the world, through touring and everything. Like that'd be a trip. So yeah, it's a blast, man.
That's real. That's real, man.
You're falling asleep.
Is it man, you know what I'm saying? But before we finish up, it's a few more things, man. But
Yeah, dude.
what's what's some advice, like what's some advice you can give the people, man, as they continue thriving, continue trying to do whatever it is they're pursuing, no matter if it's music or anything else. What's some good words of advice you want to pass?
Man, we've talked a lot about perseverance and everything tonight. And I think in like a really short way to summarize it all, it's like if you love it, keep doing it,
Yeah.
you know? And like I could say a whole bunch of words here and say like this big drawn out thing of like what my words of advice are, but I think it's really simple, and I think a lot of people don't recognize it enough. But if you love it, just keep doing it. If you love making songs and writing ideas and saying them through mics and recording them to make music or whatever, like keep doing that. If you love putting a paintbrush across a canvas, like keep doing it. And we just need more people to just do what brings them joy, I think. And with that, I think also comes the other side of it, which is that don't quit side, which is like if you love it, fight for it.
Yeah.
If you love it, keep doing it. But if you really love it, never stop fighting for it. So yeah, fucking do it.
That's real. That's real. And last thing, man, like what let the people know what you got going on, what's coming up next. You know what I'm saying? Like if whatever you're allowed to say, you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
know in the
no,
music realm, you gotta keep a lot of things
obviously,
quiet, but
man.
but what's going on? Like what do
Yeah.
you have coming and what do you want the people to tune into?
Oh man, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff coming. Obviously, playing some shows and doing all that, but man, keep an eye out for some special artists. Shout out Vinny, where you at?
Yes, sir, Benny.
Yeah, that's our boy.
Yeah.
I'm extremely excited for just anything and everything Vinny, man. So Vinny's
Yes,
a
sir.
huge artist to keep your eye on. Man, so many different artists I could shout out to, and that we've been cooking up with and working with. 49 Parallel, just AK Sam. I mean, I shout out all the homies and stuff. Yanni, man, they're all just amazing artists and young creatives. Oblate Reed, like amazing. So many different people from Seattle too, which is dope. But a whole bunch of them moving to LA, which is really exciting too.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of projects coming out and stuff. Working with Kate Everstad, another amazing artist from New York. She's got a dope project in the works that we're kind of gluing together. And yeah, man, whole bunch of music dropping and just creating, dude. So every day, more and more. So
Yes, sir. All right, man.
indeed.
But before we close, man, anything you want to say? Anything else you want to say? Anything you got?
Man,
Anything?
I'll just say thanks for having me on the podcast, man. It's a pleasure. Not only are you one of my best friends, but you're one of my biggest inspirations in so many different aspects of life, but especially in the aspect of just keeping that mood high and keeping that attitude positive, and you just like live that. And that's something that I take I never take with a grain of salt with regards to our friendship and everything. And everybody that gets to watch this gets to understand that in their own way. So nah, man,
Sir.
I think the last thing is just I'm grateful to be here and excited to be, continuing to build with the people you're building, because you're building a dope ass fan base on your own. So shout out
Yes, sir.
shout out the Wadurr fan base.
Yes, sir. And hey, man, I appreciate you
Stay
for being on here.
hydrated. Stay
Yes,
hydrated.
sir. Yes, sir. And I appreciate you being on here, man. Like you said, man, y'all, we've been best friends for over 20 years. You know what I'm saying? It is insane to think about that, over 20 years, bro. It is crazy.
That's
Over
crazy,
20
bro.
years, and this is my dude right here. Always motivated me, always pushing me. Y'all wouldn't even know who I was if he didn't tell me to check out TikTok. You know what I'm saying? He was the one that told me, hey, bro, you need to check out TikTok, man. It matches your personality perfect, bro. You could do it. He's the one that told me to get on here. So y'all wouldn't even know who I was if it wasn't for him. So
Yeah.
thank you, bro, for always pushing me, man, and helping me to strive for greatness in all aspects of life, man. So
Yes,
shout out
sir.
to you,
That's
and I'm
love.
gonna see you this weekend, brother. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
Shout
Cookout
out,
Sunday. Yes,
shout
sir.
out once again. Shout out once again to Vinny, where you at? Congratulations,
Absolutely,
man, on your
man.
big move. And you know what I'm saying? We all wish you the best on your big move as you get ready to go to LA. But thank you again, man, for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Dude,
And
wouldn't
you
miss
know what
it.
I'm saying? People, y'all gotta watch this and check out Jake Crocker. I'm telling y'all, if y'all don't know who his name is yet, y'all are gonna know who his name is. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna have those Grammy trophies in the back there. He's gonna build some shelves to put those Grammys up there. All right, y'all gonna know exactly who he
Oh
is.
my
Okay,
God.
and Andre, you ugly as hell. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for watching, man. I appreciate y'all.
Oh
I
my
love y'all. You know what I'm
love
saying?
y'all.
You're always
That's
pushing for greatness. You're always
absolutely.
trying to strive, and we always trying to stay hydrated. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Always got the
sir.
water on deck. Let's get it. All right,
We
y'all.
need a
See
water
ya.
sponsorship on this. Before we end,
Bro,
we need a water sponsorship.
we need
Shout
that,
out
bro.
whoever the first water company or we got a few. There's a few good ones we can aim
Oh
for.
yeah. Oh
You
yeah. Oh yeah. You know what I'm
know
saying? At the end of the day, we always want to aim at the top. So you know what I'm saying?
what
Fiji,
I'm
Fiji, if you try to fuck with us, Fiji, you know what I'm saying? Let me know what's good with it. And you already know what's up. Love y'all, man. No doubt.
All right,
Water
y'all.
out.
Peace.